We will talk recruiting. Of course, National Signing Day is coming up the first Wednesday of February. We have what percentage of the class signed by your estimates at this point?
Man, that really kind of depends on where Miami goes forward with the recruiting class. Today on the radio down here in South Florida, Manny Diaz said that Miami is not going to reach for non-Miami caliber players just to have warm bodies on scholarship to fill out the roster numbers, which I think is the right move. We obviously saw previously pretty much every coach in recent memory has reached for players. And I could call player names, but I don't think that that's necessarily right. I mean, we know that there were some guys who played here and played big snaps here who probably should not have been at Miami and ended up leaving Miami or really never having a major impact in a positive way. But there are a bunch of guys who are already signed as I sit here and I look right now. I just want to make sure so I don't misquote myself. There are 14 players who have signed. There's a 15th player who is a JUCO punter, Lewis Headley, who's an Australian guy, a former Australian rules football player, who's 6'4", 245 as a punter, and he's tatted like everywhere, like neck and arm. He's a big dude. If you see him, Lewis Headley, it's kind of funny to think that, oh, this guy is our punter, and he's like bigger than all of our linebackers, like honestly. So I mean, there's going to be 15 at least signed, and then it really goes forward to see, how many of these extra slots get filled. And there are extra slots to be filled. Like, let's get that straight. Miami needs a running back. Miami needs a quarterback in this class. You probably could use a receiver or 2 or 3 to go along with Jeremiah Payton. You need offensive linemen in droves because the ones that we have or have signed in this class, they're going to be 2 or 3 or 4 years away from the field. Because they're just developmental guys. So you're going to need guys. I mean, obviously, you could use dynamicism on defense as well, and there are guys that Miami's going after. But, I think, honestly, if Miami's sitting on 14 signees and 1 commit, JUCO guy who just for numbers reasons is going to sign in February, didn't sign already, you're at 15, I would say, honestly, that's probably going to be 75% of the class almost. I only expect 5-ish more to join the class just because I don't think that there's that many guys of a high caliber that Miami has a connection to, and the lack of offensive coaches to this late hour means that, as we sit here on January the 9th, you have a month to get a kid to sign or decide to sign to come down to Miami. For all the top guys out there on offense, I don't think that that's going to happen. Maybe 1 or 2, but yeah, I think that Miami probably has 75 to 85% of their class already signed, and then they're going to focus on having bigger classes, within the rules, the boundary of the rules moving forward in the next couple of years.
Between GC and Evan McNeil asking about quarterbacks, Isaiah Velez from Miami Northwestern and John Plumlee.
Yeah, John Reese Plumlee from Mississippi and Isaiah Velez. Honestly, I haven't looked at Isaiah Velez from Miami Northwestern. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't think that there's any quarterback in South Florida that Miami should offer. That's just how I look at things this cycle. I don't think that anybody's Miami caliber. And maybe I watched the film and I changed my opinion of that. But if Miami's going to look for a quarterback, I would say look elsewhere because, if there was a guy who was of that caliber in South Florida, Miami would have already been on him just to have a second quarterback or option in this class. John Plumlee, he's committed to Georgia, but is a 3-star kid, had like 3,000 yards passing, almost 1,000 yards rushing. So a dual threat guy, 6'2", 180 pounds, I want to say off the top of my head, size-wise. So, good enough, strong enough arm. I did look at his film previously because that name was leaked previously or spoken about. Isaiah Velez was only today, but I didn't have time to look at that. That's why I didn't look at his film. John Plumlee is committed to Georgia, but Georgia flipped a 4-star commit from Ohio State, who is from Michigan. I don't even know how you make that transaction, but whatever. That's beside the point. Anyway, this 4-star kid from Michigan is now going to Georgia, and that was to replace Justin Fields, who left Georgia to transfer to Ohio State. So John Plumlee was like, oh, I'm going to be the only quarterback in this class. Cool. Da, da, da. And then all of a sudden, wait, you got this other kid, so I'm not going to sign now, blah, blah, blah. So I think that he, would be a good option as a body on the roster. I really honestly don't think that there's many, if any, Miami caliber guys who are available at quarterback anywhere in this class. But all things being equal, if they are equal, then obviously I would say take the local kid in Velez. But again, sight unseen, because I have not looked at anything. I don't think that there's any Miami caliber quarterbacks in South Florida, so I would look elsewhere.
Talking Miami with Cam Underwood, State of the U, and as you well know, Cam, there was an era gone by when a whole lot more great players left Ohio to go to Ann Arbor than the other way around.
Yeah.
Elvis Gerbach, Desmond Howard, on and on and on.
Charles Woodson, arguably having the best resume of any football player ever. Won a state championship, Mr. Football in Ohio, came to Michigan, won a national championship and a Heisman. I think 2-time Super Bowl champion, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, multiple time All-Pro first team. I mean, like, if you look at Charles Woodson's resume from high school on, I don't know anything before high school, but from high school, college, and the pros, you'll be hard-pressed to find somebody with as accomplished a resume as Charles Woodson.
You are talking to, Cam, someone who did play-by-play for Charles Woodson's last high school basketball game in the Ohio State high school basketball playoffs.
Nah, what? Wow.
Yes.
Okay, that's a deep cut right there.
Just came to mind.
Awesome.
Cam Underwood, State of the U. But I get to talk to Cam now. So this is what I do.
No, we're having a good time.
76 fans on the line. Good to hear from all of you. That's about all we've got on the live chat. So I'm going to ask you this, Cam.
Okay.
I don't expect that you're doing this now, but maybe when you're really hungering and thirsting for football in a few months and knowing how you research and investigate exhaustively about your Canes, do you go back and watch this season's games a little bit later before next season?
Yeah, I will go back and watch games again, just to get a feel for everything. Sometimes we do, X's and O's retrospectives. We have one of our lead writers, Justin Tatavio, is a high school coach, and I think he's coached at the college level a little bit as well. But he's very good with X's and O's, so he'll write some stuff, or I'll be watching something and think, hey, maybe we could evaluate this kind of a thing. So I will go back and look at some things from time to time. It's tougher off of a 7-6 season than off of a season with more wins to go back and really look at things. But yeah, I will do that, and I will go back through the just through the record books and just go back and see, okay, what's up on YouTube, and kind of just relive some things just to kind of get a feel for things. And I also just watch more football to get better at watching football, moving forward. So I'll say, I missed this, or I'll see somebody write something and I'll go back and watch it and see if I can pick up on other things, as time goes along.
And you're not emotionally attached at that point. You know what the outcome is going to be.
Right. And that makes it easier to be analytical, because it's like, yeah, I'm not going to ride with the swells of emotion. And, even being a blogger and running a website, like, I went to Miami, I bleed orange and green, like sometimes the fan really jumps out of me. And I love it when you guys come fan with us and give us, all your commentary and the open threads and things like that. But yeah, when you go back, you're really divorced from the emotion, because like you said, you already know the results. So you can really be more analytical and really dig with a fine tooth comb, where I find that I'm able to do that. But I definitely do endeavor to do that, especially, before and after the spring, kind of when things are fresh, or, when the team's about to come back on the field, and then right when they finish their spring and, going into the summer. That's really when I personally look at things, but, maybe I'll try to do it a little bit even more.